And we really designed this to be our innovation program, focused not so much on flavor and what's on the plate, but all the kinds of issues that are surrounding that. So we talk about innovation at the intersection of technology, behavior, and design. A big, long look into the future, a strong look at behavioral issues, what makes folks choose the foods that they do, that shapes preferences, design issues, and a lot related to technology. So this program is coming up the 7th to the 9th of November. That'll be at Copia. You'll see Copia tonight for those of you that are coming to the party, which we hope includes everybody. And so if you, as an attendee at Worlds of Flavor, you have a discount code for that, and you have the opportunity to save a little bit there on registration. Then next year, actually maybe we have one more slide coming up. So Worlds of Flavor, maybe we have the menus of change slide, because I also wanted to mention that. Worlds of Flavor next year will, as I mentioned, will move down to Copia. We're going to move back to the fall. For those of you that have been with us for over the years, traditionally we always staged Worlds of Flavor in the first week in November, and we'll return to that same time slot, November 6th to the 8th. And the theme will be cultures of deliciousness, flavors, and traditions in motion from the Mediterranean and the Middle East to South Asia. And a gorgeous image there to give you a little sense of what that's going to be all about. And now let's go back to the menus of change slide. And so coming up this June at our main campus in New York, for those of you that are either CIA grads in the room or have previously visited the CIA campus in Hyde Park, absolutely gorgeous main campus. And several years ago, we built the Marriott Pavilion with the support of the Marriott Foundation. So we have a gorgeous conference center there, and that is the location, the venue for our Menus of Change program, which is in partnership with the Harvard School of Public Health, Department of Nutrition, really looking at the integration of health and wellness and sustainability. And we'll have talent there from all over the world, and we encourage you to check that out. We have a very robust set of educational resources at our website, menusofchange.org. We encourage you to check that out. And then a couple words about tonight. We're going to start at 8 o'clock at Copia. Be sure to bring your name badge. That will get you in. And also for those of you that are in the either the sponsor supplier community or that work with large food service operator companies, I encourage you to think about Copia for special programs, corporate custom programs. Many of those kinds of programs we used to do a lot of here at Greystone, and then just because of the popularity of our degree programs, we've had less and less space to accommodate that kind of thing in the past. And now with a second campus in the Napa Valley, we have finally space to be able to do those things. So happy to talk to you about any of that. And with that, I will turn it back to my colleague, Ann McBride.
Thank you, Greg. One of the sub-themes of this year's conference is on immigrant kitchens and the immigrant stories that have shaped food in America, but also in other parts of the world. And that's what we'll be exploring in our next session. And the moderator for that session is Maria Godoy, who's a senior editor with NPR's Science Desk and the host of The Salt, NPR's food vertical. And if you guys don't read The Salt yet, you should, because there's just an amazing variety of food culture stories, food trend stories, and just a lot of really, really interesting pieces that you wouldn't find anywhere else on the website, online. She, with her colleagues on the food team, she's won a James Beard Award for Best Food Blog, first place in the blog category from the Association of Food Journalists, and a Gracie Award for Outstanding Blog from the Alliance for Women in Media Foundation. So it's not just me thinking that they're really, really wonderful. Before that, Maria oversaw political, national, and business coverage for NPR.org. She's extremely knowledgeable, and we're extremely happy to have her here with us today. So please join me in welcoming Maria Godoy.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. As an immigrant myself, I am extremely excited about our next set of presenters. To be an immigrant is to live between two worlds, the home you left behind and the new whom we've embraced and hopefully has embraced you as well. All of the chefs presenting now are immigrants or children of immigrants, and their personal and family journeys are reflected in their delicious and innovative dishes. We're going to start with Hugo Ortega, who is really the embodiment of the American dream. Like my own father, Hugo started out as a shoeshine boy in Mexico City and Puebla. He was also a flan vendor, and at the age of 17, he moved to the U.S. He spoke no English, he had no documentation. He was scraping by as a dishwasher. Eventually, he rose to be the executive chef and co-owner of the Backstreet Cafe in Houston with his wife, Tracy Vaught. In 2002, Hugo opened his eponymous restaurant, Hugo's, in Houston, to widespread acclaim. He followed that with Caracol, which celebrates the coastal flavors of Mexico, and Xochi, which features the foods of Oaxaca, and it actually means a beautiful blooming flower in Zapotec. Last year, Hugo won the James Beard Award for Best Chef of the Southwest, which is a very big honor, as we all know. He was also the first chef born in Mexico to win a James Beard Award. And let me tell you, it was an honor very well deserved. Last fall, I ate Hugo's food and happily gained 3 pounds doing it. It was all worth it. So please join me in giving Hugo a very warm welcome.
So I hope todos hablan español aquí, ¿verdad? I need to put a little bit of water over here. So what I'm going to cook for you this afternoon is this wonderful wild sea bass and mole amarillo. And this mole is one of the most simple mole that you can possibly put together. Any of you can do it at home. So I'm going to start with, let's see over here, by toasting some sesame seeds. And then over here is going to be some garlic. And cumin and allspice. And please follow what I do. And when your pan gets too hot, you just retrieve it and begin it to play back and forth. That way it toasts nicely. So once you start enhancing these wonderful aromas, then I'm going to transfer all this to this pot where I soaked my peppers. And over here, what I want to do is beginning to cook all this together. So on that, I'm going to add some onions and a little bit of carrots. The carrots for color, a little bit of yellow peppers, and then this wonderful tomatillo milpero. And we want to cook this nicely. Last, I'm going to add this wonderful herb. The probably many of you know is hoja santa. And it's a type of leaf that actually grow wild in the south and also here in this part of the country. One of the chefs was explained that to me. It's too early in the season, so they don't have. In Houston, we already have hoja santa. So I want to go back on the recipe, and I want to show you the pride of one of the pride of Oaxaca, Chihuacle Negro. And this type of pepper, it cultivates in the region of La Cañada in Oaxaca. And then the beautiful costeño amarillo, this yellow pepper, it has a lot of flavor, but it's quite spicy. So you balance that to make this what we call it molito. Now, from time to time, I have heard people saying, I don't like mole, I don't like mole. And that's okay, but I think part of that is because they're ignorance. because mole comes in many textures, many flavors, many colors. I have the great opportunity to open Sochi where we have 30 moles. And so it's moles that have only 4 or 5 ingredients. And then, of course, mole negro, the king of moles, you have 21 ingredients. So you can see that we have mole for every one of you at a more decided palate. We can make you happy for sure. So I continue to cook this. Let me raise the temperature. And what I want to do next is, let's see, up here, I believe I put some onions, right? Maybe a little more will not hurt. I will call Hugo's mole. It will not be mole amarillo anymore. So now the reason what I do over here is because I'm going to intend to finish this mole in my molcajete. And can I get some water, Chef, please? Water, drinking water. So here we go. I know that all of you own Vitamix, right? Probably, or some type of a blender. So this is what I learned when I was 7 years old. My grandmother and I lived in the mountains for 7 years, and she told me about the cooking. She born in Oaxaca on the Mixteca Baja. So she told me to love the land and to take care of the land, and the land will love you forever, right? Once you die, you go back to her, right? It's just, in Oaxaca, we celebrate every day of the year, and also we celebrate even when we die, because during the Day of the Dead, you come back and have, guess what? For me, we mezcal, right? You gotta have my mezcal, or my mole, or my chocolate. So that is the wonderful spirit the great people of Oaxaca have. And it's just an incredible state. It's the third largest state of the country. It's so rich in so many ways. It has so much to give to the world. As far as I'm concerned, Oaxaca is the belly of the country, the belly of Mexico. So it's rich because you can find anything that you imagine. Still be undiscovered in many places. I'll be more than happy to take you, by the way, and show you where that is. And we learn it together. And the people is just warm and wonderful, wonderful people. They love everybody. And the reason of that is because they have abundance. Anything you can drink, anything you can dream, you will find it in Oaxaca. So it's a wonderful, wonderful state. So, okay, here we go. What I want to do is bring back my peppers. Some of the liquid. And then I'm gonna, when you do this, you gotta be determined that you're going to make this happen. There is no other way around. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil. And as you go and go and go over here, you will find that yellow, beautiful color is coming. It might not be the same yellow that you will see through your Vitamix, but it will eventually develop in this wonderful color. And we just continue to go until you get something like this. Now for my fish, it's going to be a sea bass. So what I want to do over here is put some of this mole first, and then I want to wrap it like tamal. So skin upside down for you the like the skin. Or no, you don't like it, you can retrieve it. Then I want to wrap it once. And then go underneath. And then I'm going to tie it. I don't have any time to tie it, so I just want to cook it right on the grill. So once you cook your fish, then you plate. This is a tortilla ash. And then I want to unwrap my fish. And lay it like that. And I'm watching the time. At the time of presenting your fish, you just feel it's your dish. You can garnish it wherever you like. So this morning I was coming and I saw these beautiful edible flowers outside of the school. So I said, why not? Put a little bit more of this. So normally a fish like this, it takes about 12 minutes. Cook in the banana excuse me, in the banana leaf. There is another way that you can do this. You can present it on the banana leaf. I'm sure that many of you that have been here, you have seen me serve this fish in the patio a couple of days ago. So fish is a way of living. Oaxaca have a wonderful coast, wonderful peppers. One of the biggest difference between the great coastal cuisine of Mexico and other cuisine when it comes to fish is that we're not afraid to over-season and have bold flavors. Like, for example, this mole have 3 different types of peppers, garlic, 6 spices, tomatillos, and you name it. But by the end, it works. And that's the magic of the great cuisine of Mexico. So next time that you like to come and visit the great state of Oaxaca, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to take you over there. I'll be more than happy to show you the wonderful state, the bounty, the people. Mexico have 31 ethnic groups, and 16 of them, they live in Oaxaca. Oaxaca have over 200 dialects. So today you can still go to the market and people still trade. That means I bring a couple chickens and you give me a pig. That might not be a good trade, but it might happen. So, as you can see, that is still happening today in that wonderful state. And anyway, it's been a terrific journey for myself. I like to tell you that America is beautiful and I live in the dream. Thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you so much, Chef. Our next presenter is Somer Sivdiolu, who has a lovely name to say and challenges my NPR skills. And he's the chef owner of Effendi and Anasan restaurants in Sydney, Australia. Somer's journey actually started in Istanbul. He spent his first 25 years in Turkey in and around kitchens. And then at age 25, he moved to Sydney to pursue his MBA in hospitality before deciding to pursue his own dream of opening up a modern Turkish eatery. He's now got 2 restaurants that have won critical acclaim. What's interesting is I was speaking with Somer earlier this week, and Australia doesn't have a very big Turkish population. So in many ways, he's become a cultural ambassador for Turkey there and expanding their knowledge of the place and of the food beyond the street kebab. He has become a presence on the Australian TV and on the global stage, and his first cookbook, Anatolia, won the prestigious IACP Award for Best International Cookbook last year. So please welcome Somer. Are we ready? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice to be here. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is this is the first dish that I had on my menu when we opened up Effendi 11 years ago. And it's the only dish that never been off the menu. There are times we try to take it off the menu, and there has been protests by the customers that we have. So, and the secret ingredient for that is the kadayıf. So, Greeks call it kadayıf, Turks call it kadayıf, and it's a shredded pastry. And we found a really good version in here. I brought some in my luggage. I had to explain that to the customs officer what it is. And I lost one package because once you open, you have to use it. And, but you can find really good versions in here as well. So with the kadayıf, what we do is first you need to be really patient with it and start opening it up. And keep on working it. Once you work it, it doesn't get dry. But if you leave it on the bench, always put a blue cloth, blue chucks or something like that. So the first dish I will make with that is our famous kadayıf prawns. So we just take the head off. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can take the little thing over there as well, but it doesn't work this time. Then what we normally do is I put the shells onto the butter when I melt the butter. I'm just going to do 2 of them. And then we need to devein it. So try to pull it out. There's not much of a vein in there, so we'll try the other one. Here we go. Yeah. And then we need to start wrapping it up straight away. When we start wrapping the kadayıf prawns, we always start from the tail. The reason that we keep the tail on is we tuck the first part inside the tail, as you can see, and then that seals it in there. And then by using your thumb, try to do it as tight as possible. If your kadayıf gets a bit dry, what you can do is you can put it in a bowl and you can just melt it with the oil that we have it in here, and then it will get alive again, I guess. So it will get soft again, so you can use it again. And then when you come pretty much to the end of it, we tuck it back in. And then brush it with a bit of oil to make sure that it doesn't dry out. One thing that's really good about this dish is you can really freeze it at this stage, and when it freezes, it just pretty much picks it up together, and you can use it the next day or in a few days. What we also do sometimes is we put a bit of orange juice into the butter. I'll just add a bit more orange juice in it. And you can put a bit of zest as well. The traditional use of kadayıf is normally just for dessert. So when I have done this dish and when my mom came to Sydney to visit me, she had restaurants in Istanbul, and I was the longest and most underpaid apprentice that worked under in her restaurant since I was 14, I think. And then she just thought that I was crazy because she's such a traditionalist with Turkish cuisine. Anything that we do in there. First, she didn't agree, and then now she says, look, first I thought that what you were doing is crazy. Now I think Australians are crazy for accepting what you are doing. So she's not admitting anything, you know. So I'll do one more. While I wrap it, I'll also talk about our journey a bit. I moved to Australia when I was 25, and I worked in corporate hospitality for 10 years. And the best thing about Australia is that it's a truly multicultural country. A Turkish guy in there opening a Turkish restaurant in an area that doesn't have that much the big Turkish population. Really, Australia doesn't have any population. I mean, we have quite a big Chinese community, bit of Indian community, but it's quite a multicultural society. We don't have any larger denomination of immigrations from a certain country. But what is so interesting about Australia is that it really allows you to be yourself and to express yourself. And I'm eternally grateful for my newfound country to give me that opportunity, because it's not easy to be an immigrant, because being an immigrant is all about adaptation to a new culture. There are not that many places that I know that will allow you to be yourself, and instead of trying to change you and trying to get you to adapt to their culture, they will prefer you to represent your culture. And it's a very proud thing to do for all of us in Australia. So I'll just put a bit more on that. And when you set this, I'll leave them in here. When you set this and you put it in the fridge, it just pretty much picks it up together, and it becomes much better the next day. But I got some that I've done before, so we'll use that. But the sauce that goes with it is a very famous Syrian, Turkish, southern Turkish sauce. If any of you have been to Turkey, you will probably be surprised by the variety of the dishes that we have. And if you go to the east and south of Turkey, it will be really Middle Eastern influence. And when you go to the west and north of Turkey, it will be very European, Greek, Mediterranean influence style. So muhammara has lots of walnuts, roasted bell peppers, pretty much just roast them and take out the skin. Bit of capsicum paste, or if you have any hot chili paste, you can use that as well, just to give a bit of a heat. You can either use raw garlic, but I like using roast garlic because it's a bit more milder and it has that smokiness. This one is isot. It's a famous Turkish pepper. They use burnt isot variety pepper. So they sun dry it on the roofs of the houses in there. Cumin. A lot of cumin in this dish. Salt. Pomegranate molasses that gives it the nice sweetness and the sour kick. And then I'm going to add the olive oil once I check the texture of it. As Hugo was saying, if you have a Vitamix, you probably also have a Thermomix at home as well. So you can use both of them together. If I can get it right. So I'm keeping the lemon juice and the olive oil out for now until I can see the consistency. Then add a bit more olive oil to it. And squeeze a bit of lemon juice. I really like the muhammara quite chunky. I really like it quite chunky, so I'm not going to do it too much. But if you want it smooth, obviously you can blend it a lot more. Where's the spoon? All right. So we can blend it with that. Put it under it. And then once we do it, we cook it on 180, sorry, I'm not even going to try the Fahrenheit part of it. I would have no idea. 180 Celsius for about 10 to 15 minutes. And it should have like a nice golden crust out of it. So it looks pretty nice as well. And then on top of it, we just end up with a bit of sumac and a bit of pomegranate. So that's the first dish. I'm rushing it a bit because I only have 2 minutes. So what do we do with the leftover kadayfi that gets a bit hard already? We pick it up, and it doesn't have to be long strains like we had with the kadayfi prawns. It can be all the leftovers. And all we do is I just put it on my palm. I better bring this one into the front. Make sure I turn my oil hot. I just put a bit of it on my palm and then crack some walnuts into it. It's going to be hard to cut it with that. I should have done that before. But just cut a bit of dry apricots. You can also use dry figs as well into the middle of it. And then fold it up a bit like a dolma, like we do. But the funky thing about this is you can just put it in your hand, close it all of it up, and then dunk all your hand into the milk and squeeze the kadayfi. So try to get all the milk out. So what that does is it allows you to give a bit of a shape. And you can use all your leftover kadayfis like that as well. So simply you just put it into the fryer, which is quite hot, for about a minute. I'll do one more while I'm waiting for that. That's a good way of using the dry left out kadayfi. We do that a lot at the restaurants. Fold it up, put your hand in there. Normally we also put some egg yolks in it as well, but just trying to get it done on time. And then fry it. Oh, that opened up. It was getting too hot, so I'll use the second one. And it cooks pretty quickly, as you can see. I'll take it off the heat. So it only takes a few seconds if it is hot. And then, could I get another plate? Just any plate is fine. And what I've done is I have some beautiful Antep pistachios from Turkey at the restaurant. So we just mix it up with heavy cream and a bit of sugar. And I'm going to put that under it and put this on top of it after I dunk into the cold, thank you very much, after I dunk into the cold sugar syrup. So when it comes up, goes into the sugar syrup, take it out. Oops. Put it in there. Get a bit of pistachio cream next to it. And you can just sit that like that. And you can add some pistachio on top of it as well. I think that's all the time that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thanks for
Somar.
having us. Thank you.
Our next chef is Reem Asil, and if you haven't heard of Reem, you will. She's a rising star in California's food scene. Last year, she opened Reem's California, an Arab bakery that's been winning accolades since it opened. This year, she was a semifinalist for James Beard Award Best Chef of the West. Just less than 2 weeks ago, Reem opened her second restaurant, Diafa. She had another very important first. Just under 6 weeks ago, she gave birth to her first child. So I am amazed and floored by the fact that she's here because I couldn't even find my pants after 6 weeks after having my first child. So please let's give a warm welcome to this phenomenal woman, but not so loud because the baby's sleeping.
Hi, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here, and an honor for me, actually, for my son to see me here. Maybe break him in really early. So, just a little bit about myself for folks who don't know me. So, I am a child of immigrants. My mom is Palestinian, and my dad is Syrian. And they met each other in Beirut, where my mom spent a good part of her years. And probably similar to a lot of children of immigrants and their experience here in the U.S. I was born in a small suburb of Boston in the East Coast and always felt like I was a stranger in a strange land, sort of neither belonging here or when I would visit my family back home, part of there. So sort of my earliest memories of food was trapped somewhere between hummus and instant ramen noodles. My mom was a working mom, and so a lot of my earliest memories is having to learn how to cook for the family. But our dishes weren't so traditional, so it was a lot of sort of mixing of, what we had available to us. So, our spaghetti and meatballs was spaghetti and kufta. And using a lot of the spices and the aromatics that we were used to growing up. So I feel like my story or my sort of pathway to Reams is interesting because I became a baker to get back in touch with my culture. And I didn't really understand my passion for food until I hit several sort of rock bottom moments in my life. And throughout those periods, food was always sort of a place for healing for me. And so sort of that became the heart of Reams. I wanted it to be a space for people to heal. I really believe in the power of food to heal folks, but also to connect folks across cultures, across generations, and across experiences. I think that, we can learn all the techniques. And when I sort of became a baker and started to learn the more technical skills of food, and then I would go home and talk to my parents about it. They're like, oh yeah, we've been doing that for generations. So there's a lot to learn from our ancestors and our cultures who have time and time again adapted their cuisines to their political context, whether it be through war or displacement. For us sort of being here in the U.S., adapting our foods to here. So wanted to share a little bit before I sort of talk about our cuisine, a little bit about sort of the heart of Reams. We opened Reams, we're not even a year old, so it's an Arab street corner bakery concept. And really the inspiration behind the Arab street corner bakery came from in 2010 when I sort of hit another sort of roadblock in my life. I wanted to do something different. I was working in the nonprofit world for over a decade and really wanted to sort of go back to my roots. So I traveled with my father to Syria and Lebanon. And unfortunately, many parts of Syria that we visited no longer exist today because of the destruction. So it was a very sort of sentimental and emotional trip for me, but I had the privilege of traveling up the coast with him and visiting these small villages and talking to the different community members there. And I really felt like for the first time, I wasn't a child of America, I was their child. Like they brought us in as if we were, Arab hospitality is kind of a magical thing. I know a lot of cultures say that they're like the masters of hospitality, but I really feel like Arab hospitality hits that other level. And I call it, I refer to it as sweet torture, meaning they feed you even when you're full. And so we really got to experience that going into the homes of people and learning the different techniques of, particularly for me, I was really attracted to the bread making because bread is sort of the lifeline of Arab culture and history. And we discovered these traditional griddles called asaj. And it's essentially, people would slap their dough on this griddle and make these beautiful flatbreads. And I just fell in love with the way that people made bread. And I walked into a street corner bakery in Lebanon, and those aromas, the scents, the flavors, the ambiance of people just laughing, and you wouldn't even be able to tell that there was political turmoil outside those doors. And so I had sort of an epiphany. I wanted to create that here in Oakland, which has been home to me for over 15 years. I felt like this concept of creating home and sanctuary in a time where we know politically it feels like a lot of turmoil. So that was kind of the inspiration behind Reams, and I wanted to share a video that we made when we wanted to open the restaurant to sort of share that. So I'll share the video. Traditional Arab street food to me means the nostalgia of the warmth and the smell of fresh baked bread. My name is Reem Asil, and I am the owner of Reem's California, traditional Arab street food made with California love, with flavors from the homeland and local organic ingredients. I was a community and labor organizer for almost a decade, fighting on the front lines with workers and residents, and really wanted to build connections deeper than just the fight. Arab street food is a thing that brings people together, from the rich to the poor. It also means connecting with other communities. The dream of Reams was literally born in a moment when I walked into a street corner bakery in Beirut. I saw bread flying off the shelves, that smell of fresh yeast, people fighting for their bread and talking to the baker like he was part of the family. I suddenly felt alive. Home is a concept, it's what we build, it's in our memories. What if I could bring that back to the US? Since then, we've built on our pop-ups with a series of farmers markets that we vend at regularly. We're serving probably over 600 people a week and really built a base there. Last year, we popped up for 3 months at the Ferry Building. And the customers were storming Twitter with lobbying to bring us back. A good percentage of our customers are our regulars. We literally know people's favorite flatbread, their favorite manouche.
We own a restaurant up in Chico area, and we would drive down to see a restaurant.
The pop-up restaurants are really fun because we get that amazing intensity of running a restaurant. It's really fun being on the hot line and the cold line and bread flying out the deck ovens, literally how I saw it back in Beirut.
And I love Manaish. It's awesome to get it locally, and it's so nice to see it come from somebody who's like Arab American and grew here.
I grew up eating these back home in Abu Dhabi, and I'm so happy that these are here now.
With your help, we can build that vision of a street corner bakery that will nurture a strong and vibrant community where people can literally feel the warmth through their fresh baked bread daily.
Feel the warmth!
So we're just about to be a year old, and we were able to fulfill that dream of a street corner bakery in the Fruitvale. So folks who are local, we welcome you to visit. Our specialty is a bread called the manouche. Manouche is literally Arabic for bread that is shaped. A lot of the Arabic names for our cuisine are quite literal. And manouche, if you go down the streets of Beirut or Damascus or Jerusalem, you'll see people eating it. And I thought it was very quintessential to that street food experience. And so today I wanted to share a dish called musakhan. Musakhan is a very, I would say if you ask Palestinians what their national dish, hands down people will say musakhan. And at the bakery, we serve it as the Pali Cali. Palestine meets California. And it comes in a flatbread with arugula and avocado. We're by no means traditional because even in the Middle East, a lot of our foods are very much about seasonality and about where people are. So it's very similar to sort of California cuisine. So I was going to do a bread demo here, but I thought my forearms are a little taxed from carrying my little one. So we got ahead on the bread making. But so the musakhan is traditionally a chicken dish, and it's served many different ways. So in Palestine, you would see it whole roasted chickens with onions, a bunch of aromatics, and a spice called sumac. Are folks familiar with sumac? It's become like the in thing now. This gives it a really amazing sort of tart and sour flavor. And then a baharat mix. Baharat literally in Arabic means spices. And this is a 7-spice mix that I use. It's heavy on the allspice, but also has cinnamon, cumin,